like it's a want. When it comes into snowboarding, you gotta want to do it. You gotta want to be better. You gotta want to go through that trail. You gotta want to hit that jump. You gotta want to ride that rail. You gotta want to do this.
Welcome to the Downhill Dummies podcast. My name is Christopher Castro. This is Jeff Rodriguez.
Hi.
And we are at an Airbnb about 30 minutes outside of Killington, Vermont, and we're going to hit the Beast tomorrow, the biggest mountain on the East Coast. It is my first time hitting Killington, and even though I've been snowboarding so long, I actually don't have a lot of experience on these bigger mountains. Now, you've been here before, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
More than once.
Try it. Once. Let people know what Killington is like in like a couple of sentences.
Multi-day mountain. Honestly, if you really want to check it out, check the whole thing out, side to side, ski every run, enjoy every run. It's a 2-day mountain.
2 days? Okay.
2 days. Yeah. Because if you gotta think about it, you gotta think about skiable time. If you show up, you hop on the trail at around 8, 9 o'clock, we'll say, and you're going till, we'll say 2:30, 3 o'clock. How many hours is that? 4, 5, 6, 7? 7-ish? Going for about 6 to 7 hours, okay? Just in ride time alone, because a lot of the times they have trails, but you can get lost in where they get chairlifts that are halfway down the mountain. You can get into it. Yeah, I love it too. You get a lot of runs in, but you get into a cycle of where you don't go all the way down.
Yeah, I got in a cycle at Gore.
So you miss the whole bottom half of the mountain. Then next thing you know, you're riding finally to the bottom, but you're gassed and you're calling it a day. You're like, oh, I wish I maybe checked out this. Or then you're driving out and you see an entrance to another parking lot. You're like, where was that base? What trail did we go to that base lodge? So then you're like, I wish maybe I checked out a little bit more. I wish I didn't just stick to these last couple runs, which is difficult though. A lot of people will take runs, will go on this if they don't know a mountain. They'll see ones that are kind of, going down to what they're familiar with. They won't really branch out because it's really easy to get backwards turned around on mountains.
Well, not a lot of mountains on the East Coast though.
Yeah.
I will say that that is definitely more of a West Coast thing. East Coast mountains tend to be
they all flow.
Shorter,
yes.
Much, smaller.
But when you get into these, they get into double and triple face mountains. I think Killington's got 3 faces to it. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think they have 3 faces to it. Okimo's got 2. Mount Snow, I want to say, is 2, and they dedicate a face of it to Carinthia. So that's well known, due to our X Games. They've held it there, top tier park and whatnot. Top tier people. Shout out to the people at Carinthia, honestly. You guys keep it together, keep the jumps running and whatnot, and everything nicely groomed. Especially because they, when things get messed up halfway through the morning, a lot of people have hit it, especially on a weekend day. You're like, wow. Well, next thing you know, you'll see them coming out there, and they'll have a system. They'll do these ones at this time, and then they'll do these ones. So they're alternating and never stack loading. So none of them are ever all terrible and shit. So then you'll see them just kind of section it off, regroom the entrance, check out the landing, maybe throw some snow back into it, move on to the next one, and they'll keep doing that all day.
Now, so tell us a little bit more about yourself then. How long have you been snowboarding?
Okay, so snowboarding started when I was 12. I'm 32 now, so 20 years. This is my 20th year on snowboarding. This will be my 27th year on snow in general. I started out skiing when I was 5.
Got it.
My mom got me into skiing when I was 5. She didn't know anything about snowboarding. She knew skiing. Okay, my dad knew skiing. Sister knew skiing. So it was just smart to hey, let's just keep them going on that. Get them on snow. Got me on snow. It was chill. Loved it. It was one of those things. That was actually one of the only activities to where I legitimately couldn't sleep the night before. If I knew I was going, I didn't go enough to where I got oversaturated with trips, but I went enough to where I'm like, oh my word, I know what I'm looking forward to. I know what I'm about to have. Ooh, let's get it going. So I wouldn't be able to sleep during those, and then just like I said, I think I told this story 3 times today. Actually, it's funny. How I got into snowboarding. was, I want to say, because my sister and I, we have a 7-year age gap. So if you think about it, I'm around 12 years old. She's 18, 19 years old. Okay, clear, completely cool for me to just be rolling around with her. All right, she already has her license free and clear and stuff. But it was right after Thanksgiving dinner. You're able to sit outside like the Best Buys. This was back in the day, where you waited till the morning to get a voucher for whatever you were waiting for. We were waiting for like laptops and TVs and stuff. Well, we were within the first like 20 people, so then we got our voucher, which guaranteed us that item. So then we went and shopped at all the other stores so then we can come back later, pick that up. All right, so we went and hit all the other doorbusters. Went to Sports Authority, got boots, bindings, and stuff like that. They're doing a fat deal. My mom's like, hey, we could do this. This will be a Christmas gift if you're cool with that. And Allie was just like, heck yeah, let's do it. Then my mom was like, all right, what do you want? What do you want for like skis? And I'm like, no, I want a snowboard. She's like, you don't snowboard. You ski, you haven't snowboarded, what's up? And I'm like, I want a snowboard, let's do it. And then next thing I know, I had a discount pass to Okemo, so my sister and I were going to Okemo a lot. All right, and then you got Beltrezy just sitting here slamming cupboards here, like he lives in a barn.
Can I cut in real quick?
No.
Just, all right, this is the question that comes to mind. Was there a specific moment, like was there a catalyst, was there something, some sign, some icon, some imagery? What was it that first seeded the snowboarding, though? Like, because, or did it come from within? Did it come from the universe?
You know when you're doing something, like I like it, I love it, but it doesn't feel 1,000% me.
That was skiing for you, huh?
Yeah. Loved it. But didn't feel that it was my thing. Like a car. Some people are BMW guys. Some people are Audi guys. You can put an Audi guy in a BMW, and guess what? He's gonna talk crap about that BMW on a live long day. It's not like my Audi. It's not like this.
Got it.
He loves to drive, but he loves to drive his Audi.
So did you see snowboarders and you were just like, that's me?
That's it. That was kind of carefree.
Got it.
The punk kind of just, their march to the beat of their own drummer. That was very much me. It almost felt like with skiing, you were more into a mold.
And you want to know something that's something that I've personally had a lot of experience with this season, because this season I decided to become a snowboard instructor, right, at my home hill, Holiday Mountain in Rock Hill, and that's a tiny, tiny hill. Like you can be up the lift and down the only black diamond and back up the lift again in 7 minutes. It's very tiny. I love it. Getting snowboarders to come out for lessons, very extremely difficult.
Yeah, because this is the thing.
And it's because of that independent kind of like.
It's not so much that it is the independence, but it's also when you go to these big name mountains, Okemos, Killingtons, and stuff like that. When you get to those mountains, your average user, skier, boarder is above average. If you think about it. Because think about it, Holiday Mountain. Mm-hmm. Think about Butternut. Think about the Jiminy's. Think about the Bosques. Well, you can ride up the chairlift, and I guaranteed you can count on your hands or two hands the people that you could give pointers to and give lessons to. I bet if you were to ride up a chairlift at one of these bigger mountains, you're not going to see as many.
That's very interesting because
the intimidation. It's the intimidation. You got to realize when you look at a ski limit, when you look at a ski trail map or whatever, when you're on the website about to buy your ticket and stuff like that, you're like, hey, what does the mountain look like? If you were to put Butternut and Killington side by side and look at the trail maps, I wouldn't go. If that's what I'm used to, and I can barely maybe get down, or I'm just, do you really think I'm going to want to sign myself up for Killington?
I understand. Yes. So it's like, yeah, and it... So
that's what I'm saying. It's like, when it comes to the big mountains, I don't think you're going to. It just weeds it out. Just the size of the mountain kind of weeds out. They have designated areas which are sizable in their own for the learning area, and everyone is usually there. If you're going to see learning out on the mountain, it's usually with a group lesson, and the kids are below 10. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. But the ones that are going down that are getting lessons are all around the 10-year-old range. The adults that are getting it done are usually down in the bunny slope area just working on hardcore mechanics. Or they're at a smaller mountain to where they can maybe now get used to chairlift action.
Exactly. Yes, and
It's a pain in the
kind
butt.
of like
Yeah.
my own origin story with snowboarding is very much like there was zero chance I was ever going to want to take a lesson.
Right.
And so
Right.
reason that I started snowboarding was Cool Boarders 2. Like I saw it in a video game.
1080. Then if we were to
Yup.
go with a game, 1080 would be
SSX
S6040.
tricky.
See, SSX tricky, yes, but for
Yep.
some reason, I had somebody set ghost mode on 1080, and that for some reason had a bug on my back because for a while I could never beat the ghost. There was for a while.
So like I did that, and I begged my parents to like buy me it. I started snowboarding a little bit even before I started skateboarding, and that's what it, and I've been snowboarding since 1997. I started when I was when I was 9. I started when I was 9, so I was really young. Plastic board from the toy store, and I
True, buddy.
hucked myself through the woods behind my house to learn. You know.
Okay. Me and my buddies, yes, we took the plastic Walmart boards and we built huge jumps.
Stupid big for plastic boards, right?
Yo,
Mm.
there was this one place. Okay, some OGs will know. Okay, and whatnot. It's called the Canyon. All right, and it
Where
was
is that?
golf course.
Oh,
You know,
Okay.
hidden in the woods kind of sled spots. You have the typical town sled spots.
Yo, for me,
Yeah.
power lines.
Yeah.
Power lines. Like we had power lines running in this. It was like I'll do this for the camera, right? We had this valley, like a quarter mile up in the woods behind my house. We had this big valley, and we had this power line right of way traversing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of friends who were like, they were into like four-wheeling and sledding and go-karting and stuff like that. So they would bring the sleds out, and we would pile our boards on the sled. They'd gas us up the hill, and we would take runs like that down these narrow quad tracks at first. And even after I got my first real board, that was the primary way that I did it. I didn't hit a real mountain until I already have been snowboarding for like 2 years, just in the random woods.
All right, so yes, plastic board. We would plastic board it all the time. I was always skiing though when I went to the mountains. Okay, got good at skiing, but at the same time, when it came to buying gear, the gear that you were sourcing at Sports Authority was not what I needed for skiing. I needed twin tips. I needed something decent. All right, and I needed the boots to go with it. When you get into that realm, you ain't getting a deal for it.
Nah.
Hey, I don't know how to snowboard, so I can get entry level crap for dirt cheap. And does it really matter?
And that's
No.
true. That's true. Like,
so why not learn something new at that point?
mhm.
So then that's really also what it was, because then I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing it in the backyard. We're building these stupid jumps. I'm hitting these things. Okay, it's no worse than the stupid game that me and my friends came up with. We got bored with sledding, so we came up with backwoods sledding. We walked down this logged out road that later became the bike path. Okay, but before it was ever the bike path, all it was just trees logged out in a dirt road. Well, we would walk down that dirt road, and we would just, in the middle of the night, keep in mind, in the middle of the night, we'd walk down this dirt road. Your eyes would finally get acclimated. We'd start looking up. We'd see trees lining the ravine, okay? It would look like there was enough gaps, so we'd be like, yo, all right, I can ride that line. So we'd either take the snowboard or we would take some random sled, go up to the top, and then just go down. Oh, the amount of trees we hit, the amount of sleds we snapped, oh, it was countless. There was one time where my buddy was going down, and I'm like, that looks wide open. Why didn't we go down that before? Come to find out, it went to a big ditch where it was just like a dirt wall. You see him disappear, and that was right when the light bulb clicked. And me, you see him disappear, and he just goes, whap, pancake the sled, and we were done for that night. But, yeah, that's just the things you did.
Yeah.
So learning snowboarding didn't really seem like anything. It just seemed like the next step, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting how you can kind of like juxtaposition that with like, you know, like when, like a lot, like most of my friends that learned like to ski, they learned they learned in like a snow sports school, and they took lessons, and they were on the high school slalom team. Even even like, so I live in Sullivan County, and the capital of Sullivan County is Monticello, and it's a really small school compared to like, most schools out there, but even that little school has a slalom ski team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
So it's kind of like legitimized more, like as a sport in the minds of the public. Parents take their kids to learn to ski the same way that you would take them to Little League.
It's the image.
Yeah, exactly. But snowboarding still
Has a stigma.
After all these years.
Well, no, it doesn't. It's not. No. Again, like back to the
maybe
point.
you know more about this than me. So
no, it's not that I know more. It's just I've been around it for so long and just have seen the backwoods mountains, decent mountains, family-oriented mountains, high-end mountains. Seen everything in the middle. Okay. I don't see skiers on average. Okay, unless you go to a park-oriented mountain. You will not see skiers on average wearing the baggy clothes like you do on average with snowboarding. You can go to any mountain and guaranteed you'll see more wearing that attire than you would skiing.
I have the most snowboard-coated jacket this year.
But I am sorry. Now think about your kid, your daughter, your son. Think about the videos you're going to watch. You watch skiing videos or you watch snowboarding videos. Now think about maybe the influence that the mother or the father. I don't know. You also got to think about what their family dynamic is. Everyone's trying to make an appearance. Everyone's trying to maintain an image, this, that, and the other. They don't buy the cars that they buy because, it's cool. No one buys an Escalade for its utilitarian purpose, realistically.
Word.
Why do you buy an Escalade? There's a bunch of other cars that'll facilitate that role for cheaper and better.
Got it. So what you're saying is
the skiers drive the Escalade usually.
The smaller mountains, though, are usually more conducive to snowboarders. Like, you see more snowboarders at the small, medium, the mom and pop stuff, rather than your Altera Icon Pass, or your Epic Pass mountains.
You'll see more of a refined snowboarder at your bigger mountains.
Got it.
You'll see more of the real snowboarder at your small mountains.
Interesting.
In my opinion. Okay,
well,
so
I wish more small. I wish more, real snowboarders would show up to Holiday. Then I'd be making more money because I'm hardly able to book any lessons.
And that's the problem. You'll get more kids to want to learn how to snowboard if you have them riding a chairlift at Corinthia for a day.
Where's Corinthia? Mount Snow. So what is Corinthia? Corinthia is
It's the face of the mountain. That's their thing, the sea. It's kind of, they branded it. It's its own entity, but it's a part of Mount Snow. Think about it like this, okay? You have Okemo.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Gore. Same thing. Same umbrella corporation, but kind of their own separate places. Okay?
Yeah.
Corinthia, same thing. Same mountain, same this. Corinthia is just your park rats. Kids that are there, X Games, Do Tour, okay? It comes with it's the Mad River Glen, skiing mecca. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Skiers only. Okay? I was going to touch on that. If you think about it, there's not actually no snowboarders only mountains. But there is a skiers only mountain. There's 3 or 4 of them left in this country, I want to say. Or in the world. Something like that. Okay. That should tell you. Think about it. Why? I mean, I understand the safety points. Mad River Glen, I want to say they raised a good point. I guess they're having issues with offloading and reloading with how they are at the top of one of their chairlifts. One of their chairlifts doesn't unload to a slope. It unloads on a flat. And if you're not good with back pushing, pushing with your back foot out of the way, a lot of people were tumbling, slowing them down. So it kind of was like a leg for them to stand on. They had opened it up to snowboarders for a bit. That was the thing.
You know what's interesting? Holiday Mountain just opened their first double black called Hackle Dam.
Yeah. See, I don't like trail designations. I don't like trail designations.
Well, what does that mean? Oh, you don't like the way that the trail designation system works?
Dude, that's a blue.
No, Hackledam's a double black for about 40, for about 100 feet.
How long's the run?
Very short. The whole hill is very. But anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that like, it's one of those hills. It's way too narrow for a snowboard. You need more space.
I get that.
You need, like you said, you need like you need a lift to unload onto a slope for snowboarders. Like
a lot of snowboarders are conditioned to put the foot on the board and just.
Okay. So then let's take it to in this direction, right?
Yeah.
So we were already talking earlier about your absolute favorite thing in the entire world, right?
What?
Clip-in bindings. So then, let's say clip-in wouldn't.
It's
like,
the
what if snowboarders like wouldn't that make it a little bit more like
what?
Should we invest in more clip-in technology or
no
hard boots and clip-ins are not the thing then, but that's what skiers have.
Okay, if I was a doctor, podiatrist, ankle doctor, sure, I would vie for clip-in bindings left and right and twice on Sunday.
But why not?
You take a pivot point out. Your ankle is designed to flex. I don't care what anyone says. If your ankle wasn't designed to flex, it wouldn't be built the way that it is. You're taking the flex out. Okay, you can take any one of these bindings because they're all strapped bindings. I don't care. Okay, you can pick any single one, and I can make an argument for every single one of them. Okay, against this. Okay, you have the high back. Cool. You have step-in bindings that have the high back. That transfers front and back motion, but so does this top strap. That transfers the front motion. Okay, cool. You have a clip in here. Great. But now this also prevents ankle flexion.
So you're
think about it. You're pivoting. Your ankle's allowed to roll forward. You know, your ankle's allowed to roll forward. At which point it pivots on this. Once it pivots on this, pulls up.
So just to explain this to some of the viewers that may or may not know about this, and the only reason I'm saying this is because this is something I actually only learned recently, in spite of the fact I've been snowboarding for most of my life, almost 30 years at this point.
Yeah, that's the steam heat. Steam heat, yeah. Old house, guys.
Yeah. Yo, is that what steam heat?
Yeah,
I don't know if they're hearing that.
Have you've never had a school that had steam heat? Or radiator
Not
heat?
since elementary school.
Yeah,
man.
you didn't remember the random whine in the middle of class?
Yeah, no, it just got me.
Yeah, no, it brings me back to elementary school too. But that's exactly what it is.
So back on topic, there's a concept in snowboarding that I was fairly recently made aware of called ankle steering. Right, ankle steering is where you steer the board by flexing it torsionally. So a snowboard's flex, it can flex, in the it can flex end to end.
Yes.
Like it can bend like a banana essentially, but it can also twist, right? And advanced snowboarding, like when you do advanced snowboarding, that ankle flexion helps you with a lot of more advanced snowboarding.
No,
Exactly.
Okay, so when you get to a point, yes. Groomer runs, S-turn in, ride in heel edge, toe edge, like we're playing tennis. Yes, you can do it. Throw in maybe a little bit of terrain change, spice it up. Honestly, all the terrain change is maybe red hot. Some Frank's Red Hots on that groomer. Okay. When you start getting into big mountain double blacks, I was also talking about trail designation.
Got it. Okay, now I'm picking.
Dude, think about the confidence you just built on someone on that double black. Now they're like looking at a trail map for this other mountain. Dude, that's
and you got a double black that's 3 times as long.
And then maybe throw in some trees. Yes, exactly. That's the only reason why. It's very misleading. Okay, because if you think about it, and if you were to take that, yes, I get it. We're scaling it to the mountain and what the mountain has. I understand that, but I think it's a lot more prudent for the person that's going to be informationally looking this stuff up to see, hey, yeah, this might be considered for this mountain a black diamond, but in the realm of snowboarding and skiing, it's a blue. It's just designated that. Let the user know, let the snowboarder skier know, hey, realistically, this is just a blue. Because if you were to go anywhere else and try to ski a double black diamond, we're not even talking about single black diamond, okay? An argument can be made for that, you know? When we're talking about double black, the only thing that really changes it is now conditions of the trail, terrain features, and obstacles, trees. That's now how you start making it more difficult in our neck of the woods. All right? Steepness can only go so far. Every trail's steep these days.
Especially on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So now where he's talking about the torsion flexing is at times it's very useful to be riding back foot heel edge just ever so slightly while the front is still maybe riding a little flat. Because it'll get you that kind of little kick while still keeping direction going. So that's where the torsion comes in. But that, you really don't notice you're doing it until you come into trails that make you have to do it. But then that's when the advanced skiing and snowboarding comes in. A lot of people won't use it or need to. Okay, if they're just riding groomers all day and S-turning heel edge, it's pretty irrelevant. You start dropping yourself into trees. At this point, if you're good enough to go into trees, you understand what we're talking about, and this is not new information to you. But if you're looking to go into trees, keep in mind you need a lot more board control. Okay, your muscles need to be a bit tighter. And when you start throwing trees into the mix, the trees don't move. You do. Okay? The tree will stop you quicker than you stop it.
word.
All right. So just keep that in mind. So everything needs to be deliberate.
So back to the subject at hand, though. Like, you are saying that step-in bindings in particular, or at least the modern step-in binding technology, interferes with ankle steering, doesn't let you properly do it.
Something's got to give. Something. Okay, and I don't know how else to explain it. Okay, they put a top strap for a reason. Then they realized they needed a toe strap for a reason. Then they realized they needed a high back. Then they realized that they needed to be able to do high flex, low flex, stiff flex type stuff.
Okay.
We're at like the pinnacle right now of binding technology, and I feel like we're kind of going backwards by making the rider, the user, lazier and less in tune with his gear. Dude, you're buying them plug and play stuff. Hey, guess what? These are the bindings you have. This is the board you're putting it on. These are the boots you have to use for it. We just pretty much gave you a Happy Meal into snowboarding.
Okay.
Without having to know ish from a hot rock about what is the difference between every single one of these boards that's lined up behind us. I can tell you right now, that board right here is 1,000% different from this board sitting right here.
True.
Tell you that right now.
Now, well, let me make one counter argument to that, though. Like, what about your casual weekend warriors that aren't gonna they're gonna stick to your greens and blues.
Go for it.
They're gonna go. So you think step-ins just absolutely perfectly fine for them?
Yes, it gets to a point where next thing you know, step-ins are just not useful anymore. You need. There's too much slop. There's just slop that's always going to be built in. Something needs to be given. Okay, your ankle. Okay, so a boot is designed to where it cradles your foot, it hugs your foot. Okay. And you have a point right here that flexes. You can take it. See? Hey, weird. It's flexing. Okay? Well, you can't have that now with a step-in because guess what? All of that now is slop when you're trying to either go to a toe edge or a heel edge. Now I have all this slop before. See? Look how far I had to go before now it's actually pulling up on the heel. Sorry that I'm doing this to your boots. But you see how far I had to go? Throwing boot stiffeners. Throwing just a nylon shank. Now it's just blah, blah, but you got nothing here. It hurts. Keeps you stiff.
Unless you're like posy like hard carving.
Yeah, but at the same time, when they get into those race kind of flag racing, they're not even wearing these boots.
No, you might as
it's irrelevant.
Hard boots and monoski essentially.
You're doing this for a purpose.
No offense to carvers. I'm a carver. I love carving.
Yeah,
like it's a discipline that I.
Exactly.
Truly do respect,
it is for the casual snowboarder, nothing more, nothing less. What annoys me that Union teamed up with Burton is the simple fact. Like I was
They
telling,
just did this in your.
shush.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Send it.
Okay, unpopular opinion, and I'll own it. They took R&D technology from Burton, threw a price tag on it, got the rights to use it.
It's not a bad price tag.
Cool. Took R&D bindings, took some straps off of it, threw it out to the masses. Hey, woo, look at this. You didn't do anything really new. You took decent bindings and you put them with decent tech. The decent tech had subpar bindings. Everyone can admit that. I don't care what anybody says. What were they called? The reflexes or something? The Burton what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never used a step-in binding in my life.
Okay, yeah. Well, everyone will say that the Burton version of it was made subpar. Great tech, works, but it was made subpar. Okay? When do you ever hear Burton step-ins really compared to the Dagger Supermatics? The Dagger Supermatics?
You know what? That's a perfect. I was just going to ask you, like, okay, where do bindings like the flow bindings and Supermatics
that okay? So now say you still want the convenience and the step-in technology, but you still want performance. They don't take away top straps or toe straps. Think about one of the first. I think what was it? One of the first step-ins that I saw. Wasn't it Flow or something where they had that double connected top strap that just went over, kind of like how your inner boa. No, like how your inner boa on your boot. Remember? But the high back went down. High back went down. They slid their foot in. Cool. Guess what? Now it clicked in. Yes, that takes out half the time of sitting there strapping in, while still maintaining this area of your boot and still maintaining all of the performance that this gives you.
So essentially, in sum, what we've arrived at is through the back step-in bindings like the flow bindings and the Nidic or Supermatic. That's the way to go, in your opinion? Because I will say I know carvers like.
I think I should patent this, but I think the next step in this evolution, okay, their step-ins where the clips are here, clips right there into the high back. Think about it. Your boot is now clipped into the high back, so any forward motion is pulling the high back. You don't have to worry about boot stiffeners now. You can still get all that flex because you could put it on a channel. You know how like Burton put their binding system on a channel at one point? Now think about a channel that moves per the flex. They design the boot. They know how much it's going to flex in a given situation, even on its max. Put a channel right there in the high back. Now you do. Now you just made a true step-in.
Well, that's an opinion. I personally have never paid attention to hardly any of these details as a snowboarder. I've just kind of like only very recently become kind of a snowboard gearhead. So thank you very much for that insight. I actually, this is a lot of stuff I don't really fully understand yet.
If you understand how a body works now, like it's mainly more. You got to look into why is it there to begin with?
Got it. Okay.
Think about when the last development in binding technology happened. What was the last big one, other than the step-in stuff? But even when the first iterations of the step-in stuff, there was really
the biggest innovation since like the old Burton step-ins. Remember we were talking about those with the little metal axle thing.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. The through the back ones. That's the biggest thing.
So now, okay, cool. Now you have this technology and stuff like that, kind of making a comeback, so to speak, but it's refined. But not refined to the point where I think you're going to get the performance that you get out of these. Still. Because think about it, if something came along that was going to give you more performance, the same, if not more, we would have had it. So when they created Step-In technology, the first Step-Ins or whatever that came out for like commercial use and actually did it, still had the straps.
So then, do you think that there is an information gap then between, for instance, like, so I want to bring it back to like, why are snowboarding's numbers still so low Like compared to skiing, like do you think there's like an information or a skill gap between or do you think there's an information gap between
Exposure.
people who are starting to ski or are starting to snowboard? Or do you think that it's more fundamental than that?
It's an exposure gap. In my opinion, I think it's exposure.
Snowboarding is everywhere in the media, though, or at least it was when I was growing up. Like,
yeah, to a degree, that's not okay.
Do you think snowboarding has fallen off then in some way compared to skiing?
The snowboarding that's thrown out in your face is not the snowboarding that you say you never did anything a day in your life. Okay, hypothetical. Okay.
I'm trying to put myself in that situation.
You see snowboarding. You see this guy just pull double cork 12. Do you really think you're about to get off your couch and do that?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So you think that the image of snowboarding...
All you ever see are people stomping tricks, people winning golds, people this. You don't... Unless you watch the documentary, do you ever see these pros learning anything? They barely throw their crashes and edits as is.
But skiing's image, I get... So what you're saying is skiing's image is super solid in the public mind?
Skiing's image has just been there.
Yeah. It's just
okay. Think about it. Junior slalom racing,
baseball and soccer, and
where's junior snowboard racing that you see at every mountain?
So, as a for instance, right? Okay, I'm gonna just talk to the camera. Our junior board program at Holiday Mountain, one person. It had 3, but 2 of them left because they literally broke bones.
How much does this ski have?
Like 100. Like between kinder ski and mountaineers, which is what we call our like junior ski program, it's almost 100 kids.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
So
it's tough out there. So you're saying that, but what you're saying is that like snowboarding, it still has that kind of like X Games extreme sports image to it then, but that's not relatable or accessible to the normal person then.
Yes. Your normal person probably be more familiar with skiing.
Got it.
Than they would with snowboarding. Just your average person.
Yeah, and it's too bad because snowboarding's cooler. Snowboarding's cooler than skiing.
Okay. Yes. but they both have their thing. So I think.
Are you about to advocate for skiing somehow?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I will have to say, chairlift. The chairlift runs that you see at these big mountains that are kind of icy, maybe got cliff drop-offs and stuff like that. I don't care. I've seen some
gore and whiteface.
I've seen snowboarders run it, and it's cool. It's awesome. I know the skill that goes into doing it. There's no compromising that. I just think in those moments, a skier coming in with backpacks, twin tips, all right, knees planted together, like hitting that thing and just sending it and cruising. I don't know. It's easier, but you're going down a groomer and stuff like that, and you got that guy running, and then you got a snowboarder next to him. No, and then you go into a park, and you got a skier on twin tips and stuff like that, twirling around like he's a top and stuff like that, since that's all they really can do, and then maybe cross the skis and stuff when they're doing a trick. I don't think that looks as cool. I think a snowboarder in that regard looks cooler doing that.
Okay.
But
so
you see what I'm saying?
All right, then let me ask you this. All right, what do you think about the kind of resurgence of? What do you think about the kind of like the resurgence of Euro carving and free carving? Then, like, is that something that the snowboard community needs to kind of like look at then and kind of present maybe to the non-snowboarding? Like, okay, so I'm just gonna go out. Like, this is my opinion, right? Like, my mental image of snowboarding was shaped by like video games. It was shaped by the X Games.
Yep.
I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, early 2000s. That was what snowboarding was. Like full on. Everything was X Games. Everything was Shaun White. Everything was like SSX. Like everything was And
remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that era.
But lately on social media, I am seeing content creators that are doing Euro carving and free carving. which is different. It's still a skillful thing.
It's skillful, but it's more of a...
You're basically. I think I heard a rather popular YouTuber, who I'll credit here, James Cherry, I think his name is James Cherry.
Yeah.
He was saying that a lot of the free carvers are making the greens and blues look intense. The way that they free carve.
Yeah.
Do you think snowboarding as a community needs to embrace and lean into that, maybe to, like, okay, again, I'll just say this, my opinion. I think snowboarding as a community needs to lean into and embrace just the free carving and Euro carving as a discipline, because it makes snowboarding look more accessible. It makes it more relatable to, like, the layperson. The layperson, definitely, you're right, doesn't see themselves doing a double cork 12, but the layperson might just see themselves like leaning hard into the snow, carving around, enjoying themselves on just greens and blues. Like,
what the problem is, I'm trying to find the words to, like, say this. Okay. Snowboarding takes want.
Yeah, it does.
Want.
No, I completely
Skiing
agree with
doesn't.
that.
I don't care what anybody says. I can pizza, French fry, whatever, down a mountain, okay, and enjoy myself going up and down. I can't do that on a snowboard. There's unless you falling leaf it, which will only get you so far, there's no real way to half-ass down a mountain on a snowboard.
So snowboarding is just harder than skiing.
Harder to learn, easy to master. Skiing is easy to learn, hard to master.
Okay, all right.
Keep that in mind, okay? I
Not
don't
as
care.
safe
I don't
for
care what
your
anybody.
knees
I don't
either.
care what anybody says. You got to think about it like this. Okay, cool. When you're going through the woods, it's a lot easier to maintain that one plank than it is for someone to keep their knees together and maintain two planks while still going over the same rough, uneven terrain.
Got it. Okay.
So now think about it. Your board goes over a rock. Cool. One ski goes over a rock. The other one doesn't. There's just different things to it. You know, so in that regard, when you get into the technical aspect of skiing, I feel like in that regard, it's going to be harder to become a master of it. Because now think about it in the realm of the slalom skier, the Olympic slalom skier. Okay, now you get into this niche stuff where now it's like, hey, your average skier ain't that Olympic slalom skier. All right, but I can see dudes in the park that are throwing freaking Cork 12s that aren't sponsored by nobody.
Okay. All right. So then, like, I guess
I don't know.
I guess then, like, what do you think?
Okay, so back into so I remember the original question, and I'm saying that snowboarding is a thing
What
of
was
want.
the original question? Because I forgot.
Okay, it's about the cost of entry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. After a day of falling on your butt, catching edges, you gotta want to come back. You gotta want to do it again. How many times the age-old story? Hey, I did it once, never did it again. I did it once, fell on my ass so much, I never did it again. Snowboarding is so hard.
Yeah.
Snowboarding is so hard. That's all you hear. Whenever snowboarding is ever brought up, when do you ever hear it said? Unless it's people that have been doing it for years. When do you ever hear somebody advocating that snowboard is, do it?
Okay. I do have just... Okay, there is one counterpoint to this. Every once in a while, I run into a person or a student for whom snowboarding actually comes easier than skiing, almost instinctively. I have had, I want to say, 2 students this year that they promised me up and down that they have never snowboarded before. I put them on a snowboard and they just got it. Understood it.
It's now we're getting into the psychology of learning how to snowboard and why it needs to be a want.
Is that within the purview of this podcast, or should we?
I mean, dude, it can be. I'll touch on it lightly. Okay. So, I'm a self-taught snowboarder. Never took formal lessons. Okay.
Same.
So, when someone asks me to help them out, I can't. I can and I can't. Okay, one, I get frustrated really easy, so that's why I just don't do it. I'm a terrible teacher. I can teach you the perfect balance points. I can tell you how to start initiating a toe, how to start initiating a heel. That's fine. I can't tell you how to get out of your own way.
Mm.
Heel side edge carving goes against all of your body's self-preservation instincts.
This is what I tell my students. This is what I tell my
Okay,
my
so,
snowboarding students.
the
Yes.
ones that take to it are able to compartmentalize that, hey, my body thinks that this is uncomfortable, but I'm telling myself I need to do this in order for me to learn it. Other people, it's reversed.
Got it. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That
So
is precisely what I have observed.
And the simple way of kind of putting this to the test is, hey, go fall flat on your face. Now go fall flat on your back. Which one's easier to go commit to? You put your hands out, at least falling on your face. There's no way of protecting yourself from falling on your back, and that applies to snowboarding. Because you got to eat that edge, and then you got to find that balance point. Find that balance point. Now it's almost like you're standing on flat ground. You're just there, but they're not convincing themselves that, hey, this is how it'll be, everything will be okay. That body's just immediately going into failsafe, that like nothing's there to catch you. This is no trust fall. There's no person there.
Yeah.
You're that person. Now it comes into the confidence.
What I have taken to doing in terms of like teaching my students and introducing people to snowboarding in general is I equate what is called falling leaf, where you are basically just balancing on your heel side edge, going back and forth down the hill. I equate that to pizza on skiing. Yeah. And I literally, I take them by the hand, or I use a ski pal thing, and I pull them across the flat on their heel edge. And I'm like, you got to get used to this feeling. You got to find that sweet spot, and you got to get used to that feeling and search for that feeling. Because and then I do the same thing with the toe side edge, just pull them down the hill.
And that's the thing. Once you get someone able to get down a mountain on a snowboard, it's kind of where they plateau.
Yes. That is, it's interesting because I have had I've had multiple,
it's almost like
what was I going to say? I'm so stupid right now.
It's almost like they got to the point in their friend group where now they're the snowboarder and they can get down the mountain and they're fine with that.
You know what? Like, I literally have had every student in 2 lessons, they fly the nest in 2 lessons. In 2 lessons, they don't want anymore. They got it. I'm going to figure it out myself.
Figure it out from there. Yeah. They never do.
So how do then, well, and that's kind of the point I was making before, is like, how do you get snowboarders more interested in just advanced carved turns, advanced technique?
How do you get snowboarders into advanced snowboarding? You don't.
You really just gotta want it. That's your opinion.
How many pro skiers, pro snowboarders, pro football players, pro basketball players started playing basketball and got good in their 20s?
Oh,
just it was all like almost kind of structured into them.
Yeah, most people I know that started snowboarding started in their teens or their 20s. They didn't start they didn't start as young as I did at all.
So now you start the kid out in slalom skiing competitively.
At the time I started snowboarding, that's when most kids are like already getting into competition.
And then next thing you know, you put them around other like-minded kids. Mm-hmm. They foster that little competitiveness between them. Now, unbeknownst to themselves, they're now learning advanced skiing techniques. But they're making it fun to themselves because they're around like-minded people. But it was almost because it was by design by their parents. Okay?
Yeah.
Snowboarding.
There's a whole lineage for it.
Snowboarding, you don't really see the slalom hard carvers, technical snowboarding. The only time that you see it is when there's a kid in a park amongst his friends grinding because he wants to. It's fun. So, okay, ask yourself this. What freestyle clinics are there?
Oh, I want to say that...
I get they have Woodward. They have Woodward and stuff like that. But that comes with a price tag. Thank you. Okay, exactly. Thank you.
Big barrier to entry, yes.
Big barrier to entry to get into that upper echelon of getting into it already. Now we got to get into advanced techniques. Well, we need advanced technique facilities and the people to teach advanced techniques. Okay, cool. Yes, they gave us the facilities for it. But then they don't do it for free, nor do I ask them to do it for free. I don't want anyone to do anything for free. I know being good at something, if you're good at something, you don't do it for free. That's just common law. Okay? But to make it to the point where it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a want. When it comes into snowboarding, you got to want to do it. You got to want to be better. You got to want to go through that trail. You got to want to hit that jump. You got to want to ride that rail. You got to want to do this. Okay? Hey, I don't want to hit that rail. Guess what? You don't. And then you plateau, because once you become complacent with telling yourself no, who the hell else is going to convince you?
So is it so then is there any?
It's the self-motivated sport.
Yeah. No,
you can take this sport and you can ride it as hard as you want with zero recognition, but people don't want zero recognition anymore. And then they realize that they humble themselves when they see somebody else that's way better than they are, and then they're like, well, what's the point? Because it's awesome. I want to be better. I don't care. Yeah, I have there's snowboarders from the 90s. They're doing slopestyle that are better than me. I don't think I'm going to be better than anybody current. I don't care about that, but I'm better than I was yesterday. I'm cool with hitting this jump, being more comfortable hitting this jump. I want to. Don't want. There's not one thing that someone's pushed me to do in this sport.
So
not a single thing.
Is there no way then to sell the idea of?
Yes, you sell a dream.
Like do like is there no way to like find those self starters then and bring them into snowboarding?
Convert skiers.
Convert skiers. Okay.
Convert them right at that 10 to 12 range. They're still there and they still have the ballsy attitude, but now they come with a little bit more grit.
Okay.
That'd be your best bet. My kids, skiers right now. They want to switch to snowboarding.
So like as a snowboard instructor, you're telling me I should market myself to skiers. Not people who might potentially want to learn snowboarding, but people who are skiing.
Who else are you going to better teach how to hard carve on a snowboard than someone that's hard carving on skiing?
Good point. That's a very good point, actually. Yes.
Like they said, I think there's this saying, what is it? There's certain people it's funny, it's like you see certain people that are good at something which is completely unrelated, but unbeknownst to themselves, they had been training their body in a certain way that made them absolutely quintessentially perfect to do this. Kind of thing. Yeah. It's kind of what I'm going at, is these kids have already spent snow time. Already spent speed time. That's a big one. Speed time. Speed time's a big one. I don't care what anybody says. Okay? You can't just hop in a car and go 100 miles an hour and be comfortable with it. After the 10th time of going 100 miles an hour, it's not 100 miles an hour anymore to you, is it?
Nope. No, it ain't.
Right in. Same thing. You just do it. Desensitize yourself. Okay, well, they already have that. Now you have taken out all these mental barriers out of their way. Now you can focus wholeheartedly on technique. You get technique. Okay. You just harden the technique in half the time, because next thing you know, you're not dealing with all the mental barriers in the way. And the reason why I say recruit that is at a certain age is because, like I said, they still have the ability to learn quickly. They still have the grit to take the slams if they really wanted to. But what you got to really do is market yourself as kind of, you gotta make them feel special. You gotta make them feel like they can be that Shaun White. How can they do that in an oversaturated market?
Yeah, that's true. There is no. I don't think that there is no skiing equivalent of Shaun White at all.
But no, actually.
Okay,
look
maybe
at
I don't know.
Just look at the slalom racers. Honestly, if you were just go through medal counts and stuff like that, there's arguments that can be made. But
there's no skiing equivalent. Let me put it a different way. There's no skiing equivalent of Tony Hawk. There's no skiing equivalent of Tony Hawk. Exactly. Tony Hawk is somebody that is known far and wide outside of skateboarding. Shaun White is known far and wide outside of skateboarding.
Yes.
I'm sorry, snowboarding.
To count
skiing
that,
doesn't have anybody like that. So you're telling me...
I would have to say now we're going into the image that each sport... Because you see, it's very... Lines get segued a lot. Okay? Lines get segued a lot because now we're going into the image. Snowboarding has always been advertised and imaged out as the freestyler sport. Shaun White is the Shaun White of freestyle. There isn't a skiing freestyle equivalent. Just like there isn't a snowboarding race slalom equivalent to what skiing has.
Unless you closely follow slalom.
But at the same time, I don't have to closely follow skiing slalom to find that person. I don't have to closely
Not at
follow
all.
snowboarding freestyle to find that person. So you're telling me I have to closely follow a sport. So at that point, then, hey, are they really like that Shaun White?
That
Like we were
raises
just
the barrier to entry right there.
Are we really like that Shaun White? Like we were just saying.
What, us?
No, like you get what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
As far as like the snowboarding slalom goes, like yes, you have to do a deep dive, but that kind of now counteracts what we're just saying. I don't have to do a deep dive to find Shaun White. I don't have to do a deep dive. There's actually better females. There's more better female skiers, slalom skiers, than there are men that I can think of off the top of my head. But that is what it is. What it is. Like Lindsey Vonn. That's one. I can think of her.
Who that is, but
yeah, Lindsey Vonn. She can do her thing. Okay, she's a female slalom skier that rips. Okay, the fact that I can think of that. Okay, but I can't tell you who won the Knucklehuck X Games 2 days ago for skiing. I think Zeb Powell won for snowboarding.
Huh.
Something like that.
Yeah, you.
But I can't tell you who did the skiing one. And it's freestyle, and I love freestyle though. I don't know. Yep. I think there's just a lot of dynamics that go into it. That it's just more than meets the eye of like, hey, we're not advertising it for them, but what is there to advertise? Cool. We just advertise how cool snowboarding can be. Okay, where's the incentive to learn that now? You just got them on the mountain now. You brought them there. You got a crowd of 600. Now think about the Navy SEALs. 600 recruits. Now, how many do they finish with that graduate?
Yeah. Okay.
That's just kind of just how, just like I said, I've seen a lot. I've just been exposed. And I watch. I listen, I analyze, and then I kind of form my own opinions. And I'm open to other opinions. But if someone's okay with having a conversation without getting mad that maybe I'm not agreeing with them, then yes, certain insights can be had. But that's also another problem. You get a lot of just in their own march to their beat, their own drummer people in snowboarding. You have a better chance of finding a more open skier than you do a snowboarder, really.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the same. I want to say this like strongly parallels. This strongly parallels the growth of downhill skateboarding, except with downhill and this brings it back to the whole like this is downhill dummies primarily. Yeah, downhill skateboarding is suffering from like a far more pronounced version of the same problem.
Let me ask you this question. How many people want to?
Right. I don't even have to answer that question.
This is like
that's something. Yeah.
It's ridiculous because what's annoying, what's killing these sports, it's nothing of anyone's real doing. I mean, yes, price, point of entry, cost of entry is like a big part of it, but at the end of the day, someone that loves driving cars has no problem dropping money on a Ferrari. All right. A justification of cost is what I'm saying. Justification of cost can be had if the want is that I want that Ferrari. Guess what? I want it so bad I just bought it. You have a certain threshold to either harden in 1260s into a kid to start doing it and progressing it and knowing that, hey, he's got to be in the mentality that if you decide to make this a career or be a sponsor, you're in the business of putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, of being the first. You can't just find someone off the couch that wants to be first. You can't find someone that's willing to throw themselves off of a 65-foot booter after they just slammed it 20 minutes before, trying the same exact trick and expect them to do it with 1,000% commitment that trick takes. It's dying because all those people that have that drive, that have that wherewithal, are being funneled in other ways, which is fine in their own regard because they're finding success in that. But those personality types are already having their plates filled with soccer, baseball, football, swimming.
So then what I'm getting, though, it just kind of like sum it all up, is in order to get more people into snowboarding,
You gotta just make it more accessible.
then
Cheap. Get people on mountains. Get the people on mountains. That's it. That is it. Okay, but here's the problem with that. Not everywhere gets snow. So you're already lopping off half of your demographic right then and there that's within. If you have to fly to go snowboarding, you're not going to snowboard. Unless you already do it out here. Think about your average person from Florida isn't going to fly to Switzerland.
I would say the same
snowboard.
thing applies to skiing, though. The same thing applies to any snow sports.
Yeah, but at the same time, how many people do you see sitting in LA, California that says, hey, I'm hopping on the plane and I'm going to go ski in the Swiss Alps? You never hear them say, I'm going to go snowboard in the Swiss Alps.
They would definitely like go to the Midwest, or rather, I'm stupid, the mountains. They'd like, they would go up.
And now it goes into the stigma and the image.
So they arrive at the mountain. And,
Hey, you're going to find more golfers on a golf course that ski than you do that snowboard. Why is that? There's just things that correlate, man. You're going to find more Wall Streeters that ski and golf than snowboarders.
So to cap it all off, though, then, like, kind of to just, like, put a capstone on this
conversation. Yeah, exactly.
Then what if, what is the argument then for not changing? What is the argument then for letting snowboarding remain as it is? Like, because that's the argument that I see kind of like, that's the argument I see in skateboarding. That's the argument I see in downhill skateboarding, especially. Like, we want to remain true to our roots. Let's keep it exclusive. Like, do we just resign snowboarding to always being shrunken compared to skiing and other snow sports?
I think I want to pivot on that.
Okay, all right.
I want to ask you a question.
I'm listening.
In what regard is snowboard dying?
It's only dying as fast as all snow sports.
Because to like.
So just to like say, just to like kind of put a like just to put some stuff to it, like all snow sports are shrinking because of climate change. Although there's been a resurgence of smaller resorts.
Yes.
Because of better snowmaking technology.
Well,
right?
yes.
Which a lot of snow sport, like Holiday Mountain, quadrupled their snowmaking capacity.
Yeah.
A lot of communities are coming in to save that. But that aside, snow sports in general are kind of like they have been in decline since the 2000s, and it's a little more pronounced with snowboarding. I wouldn't say snowboarding's dying. As long as there is snow, it's probably never going to die. But it just like has always lagged behind skiing. I mean, skiing is ancient. It's centuries old.
Yeah.
And
you got to realize that.
Snowboarding is like a 21st
or
20 it's a 20th century, 21st century thing. But like
skiing is the soccer. Skiing is worldwide. Snowboarding is like NFL.
Got it. Okay.
But unless you go to like certain places, Japan, not gonna find your average Japanese that snowboards unless you go to the areas that get snow. Think about it.
Japan gets more snow than any other country on Earth.
Yeah.
And they have a big, strong snowboarding culture. But
Think about population though.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Tokyo. What's the population number in Tokyo? We're just thinking per capita.
Roughly,
I think things even out if you think about per capita.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? I think an argument can be made because who are the big pros? Okay, we have Norway. Countries that produce pros. Norway, Sweden. And then who are the ones that place top podium on the Olympics and X Games? USA.
Interesting.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that in a snowboarding regard, and when it comes to freestyle and stuff like that, the USA kind of has it on lock to a degree. Yes, you're gonna have the average. You're gonna have a Japanese, okay, snowboard coming on, and yes, one off Kazuko Kubo, the Japanese flyer. Homie knows what's up. Love him. All right, dude's an animal. But other than that, you're Shaun White and stuff. But if you think about skiers, I can tell you there's actually been a couple skiers that have won slalom and whatnot, even Olympic medals that weren't American and stuff. So it's just one of those things where I feel like skiing is more of like a soccer on the worldwide stage sport, while snowboarding is more on the NFL football side of things.
It is also like a quintessentially American thing because
Yeah.
snowboarding is snowboarding has a direct and
Yeah.
mappable lineage to
Yeah.
to surfing and skateboarding,
Exactly.
which are also, well, surfing is not quintessentially American at
I
all,
know,
but skateboarding and snowboarding are
Yeah.
kind of like quintessentially
So-
American.
That's pretty much, and that's where I think I will leave it.
Yeah. No, I did you mute your mic?
I hope so.
Oh, I don't know what you just did. Your mic turned red.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you in my, yeah. All
All right. Well, on that note,
Yeah.
hey, Downhill Dummy podcast viewers, thanks for stopping in on having another one. Maybe give you some food for thought. It's just kind of stuff that we think about on these car rides, because when it comes down to it, some of these
I
mountains
drove
be like
I
3-5
drove
hours
almost
away.
5 hours to
Yeah.
get here from the Catskills.
So when you're sitting here
Um,
thinking about it and realize, hey, 5 hours shows a big want to snowboard, I think that might also tell you why.
Right, exactly. So to sort of sum it all up,
Yeah.
what we've spoken about is basically like, just snowboarding. It's a little bit. It's one of those sports you do have to really, really want. You have to want that image. You have to be a self-starter. And
It's easy to
marketing
find
that-
excuses in this one.
Marketing that towards the general public is very hard. It's very hard to get people to want snowboarding.
It's very hard to
Um,
get people to want to do anything.
Yeah.
Dude,
especially
people don't even want to
nowadays.
strap in their boots anymore on snowboards.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I'll leave it on that note. Then.
Yeah.
Had to throw that little dig in there.
So. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that about sums it up. That was like a really rambling, weird conversation, but here we are.
You and I
always go
off the rails, though.
Yeah. Every
we have
single
combos
time.
together. Yeah.
Every single time. This was just like a Chris and Jeff moment where we
We-
Chris
we-
and Jeff ADHD moment.
Yeah, where we just go down rabbit holes. We go down rabbit holes, but we can hit each other with different counter arguments and make you think even more. You're like,
Which is good.
When you're like, wait, wow, actually, that's a good point.
So, to completely change the subject and just kind of like wrap things up, yeah, we're gonna be hitting Killington tomorrow.
Yes. Okay.
The next episode, look out for it, is gonna be, our kind of us messing about on the mountain. Jeff's gonna hopefully show us some freestyle park stuff.
So
I'm gonna get deep into the carves. We're gonna get deep into the trees. We're gonna really kind of like, we're gonna try to really give people a good, like a good shakedown cruise of Killington, and and we'll go from there. Hopefully, we have more winter episodes and stuff like that. But if not, like it's a good. We did Jiminy last year. That was dope.
Yeah,
And,
if anyone's curious, actually, this is the board that will be written by me. For when you see the edit, all right, this is what I'm writing.
Somehow or another, you managed to change the color of your microphone again. Hopefully, this is
That's what I do.
recording. Yeah, so Jeff is on a Capita Super DOA. It's a super popular board. It is a super it's one of the most well-regarded boards in snowboarding. End-to-end traditional camber. He's got Union. You explain the bindings. I'm stupid with bindings.
They're the Union Atlas, but then they took it a step further. So they took their Pro model and they made it all out of forged carbon. It's got a forged carbon high back. It's got a forged carbon faceplate and all of that, and then it's got magnesium buckles and stuff. It's top tier. I don't care what anybody says. I love it. It does what I need it to do. Boom, boom.
And I, on the other hand, I'm going to be rocking probably 2 different boards. This is my like safe choice. This is my safe choice for everybody. I got a Nidaker Blade Plus carbon. Yeah, Nidaker Blade Plus with Nidaker Kaon bindings.
Say
you know, it's a full camber, huh?
Say
Nidaker.
Nidaker.
Nidaker. Anyway, it's another full camber, like kind of like long balls to the wall, just free carving board. It is designed to be laid on its side and to put trenches in the board. And then I'm going to also be riding this highly unpopular board. There's going to be a ton of haters out there, but I actually really love Neversummer. Fuck you if you don't like Neversummer. And
if you don't chew Big Red,
and this isn't just any other Neversummer. This is the Neversummer East. This is probably, I think it's the best board they ever made. It is a Death Plank, which is it's a Death Plank, and I've got my K2 program bindings on it. Another very, very stiff. This is a hyper stiff, hyper damp, super wet, ultra East Coast oriented board.
I'll give you hyper stiff.
Yeah, you didn't have to take it there, but you did. Okay. Anyway, yeah, and this is so this is what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So catch us in the next episode. We're going to be hitting Killington. We're going to be showing off our stuff, and yeah, I'll oh man, I wish I remembered the ending.
All right, boom.
No, wait. I need your help. What is the ending?
Keep riding. Tips up before you go tits up.
Stay positive. Keep riding. Skateboard, snowboard, stop, get off.
Tips up before you go tits up.
Stay positive. Keep riding your skateboards. Keep riding your snowboards. And we'll see you in the next one.
I'm done. I need to go.
Yo, all we did that entire time was ramble like 2 old men at a bar about absolutely fucking nothing. I hope there's some usable material in there. This is going to be your least popular podcast. Sorry.
The most popular podcast.
I doubt it, but okay. Wet, ultra East Coast oriented board.
I'll give you hyper stiff.
Yeah, you didn't have to take it there, but you did. Okay.